Hello and welcome to Pratik Chess Videos.
Hello friends, today we are going to see a game between Gormally and Sutovsky from 2005. Let's start the game. The game started uh, with the move e4, c5, the Sicilian defense, knight f3, d6, d4, c into d4, knight into d4, knight f6, and now knight to c3, a6, the Nash-Dorf variation, the most played variation in this position. Bishop c4. This leads to the Fischer-Sozin attack in the Nash-Dorf. Alright. So after bishop to c4 comes, well, what comes? Oh, right, e6. So e6 is the kind of main move here. Mission is to like get this bishop less space to breathe, and now there's an idea coming of knight into e4. Yeah, if you here, and b5 is the more important threat in this position. But after e6 was played, bishop to b3, dealing against b5. So b5 doesn't come with tempo. Bishop b3 is the main move. This is the Lipinski attack and also called the Fischer-Sozin variation. All right. So after bishop to b3 comes b5. Logical move. Short castle. Bishop e7. And now queen f3. Now let's assess the position. Okay. In this position, here the thing is that he has castled, plus here e5 is coming. Now if you didn't notice the threat, now you do. e5, there's an attack here, there's an attack here. It's a double attack if you play e5, and now you technically lose an exchange or a piece. Black technically loses a piece or an exchange. So after this was played, queen to c7, and now after queen to c7 came the move queen to g3. Alright, queen to g3 is attacking on the g7 pawn, but now black does a move knight to c6, and white can't take the pawn because rook g8 and then knight into d4 is coming. That's why here comes knight into c6, and now queen into c6. Okay, now let's assess this position. Okay, long story short, this e4 pawn is under attack. Our e7 bishop is bad, but we haven't castled. But we have this long diagonal to use, which is always a benefit in the Sicilian. And here b5, a6 are played. So that the here, because this diagonal is very deadly, because we can pressure on the e4 pawn forever. So that's the benefits for black, and the downsides, we know the bishop on e7 is passive, and After short castle, white can have such moves like bishop h6. Those are the downsides kind of in this position. Okay, so let's start our game. Again in this position, here there are many moves. f3 is also possible, but in the game was played rook to e1. Okay, this move is nothing special, but it protects the e4 pawn and also prepares e5. So after rook to e1 comes the move bishop to b7, and now bishop to b7. Here we can't take on g7 again because it will result in rook to g8, queen h6. I mean, we can take, but it will not lead us good because now here long castle is the main move. Queen to h3, king to b8, and now we sacrificed a pawn. But this line is open against the king, and also this diagonal is firing. So after f3, now h5 is coming. h5 with the threat of queen c7. So now after h5, white has to play bishop e3, and then there are options. There's queen c7. If queen c7, then threat is to play rook g7 and opening the diagonal of this bishop. There's also rook g7, then rook dg8 is coming here with the idea of firing, and also queen c7 and h4 are coming. So this position, when you take the pawn, this is not the position you should aim for. So bishop b7. Now he didn't take the bait and go for a3. Now a3 prevents the b4 move. So this idea with b4 and then knight into e4 is prevented, because in this position the threat here is that after bishop b7 the only threat is to play b4 is a threat. Actually, if you play nothing like just king to h1, then you can play b4. But here there's a downside, bishop a4 is coming. So we need to improvise this threat. This threat will be improvised when we short castle. So bishop here, rook d8 was played. Rook d8 idea of some rook g8 h5 plans are possible. But idea is that sometime we can push d5 in the center and start activity there. But this isn't in the near future, at least, because this position isn't the one you should aim for attacking play. This position requires subtle defense, subtle positional play as well. And now a4. Now you may think, what about b4? Okay, b4 is coming. This knight sacrifice, knight d5 takes, and then e d5, knight into d5, and queen into g7, king to d7, queen g4 check, king c7, and then bishop into d5 is there. And if you play here b4, then knight d5, and then e takes d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, doesn't, you don't play, you play queen d7, then it's even bad. Now why? Because after you play rook d8, queen into f6 is coming. So that's why after queen into f6, this is not the move you should consider. So e takes d5. Now comes the move Very important move. Now you should pause the video and think what should you play. Okay, just kidding, you shouldn't, because this is under position. We have better positions here. Now a4, this is the time to make a decision. Push, you should push or play short castle or go another way. Pause the video and think. This is time for practical decision. Okay, now comes the move. Yes, sir, short castle. Just doing nothing. They are building things on the king's side. Now we short castle, and now short castle b4 is coming, and now white will have problems before knight into e4 because now there's no knight d5. So black's immediate brick threat is to play b4 and then the game's lost. So that's why after short castle in the game was played a into b5, a into b5, and now comes bishop to h6. Typical move, a threatening mate here. Now in the game came knight e8, defending the pawn. Knight h5 is met by queen to f3. Then knight f6 back, met by queen g3. So here knight h5, queen f3, and now you can't just play g into f6. It is here. It should be if you play knight f6, it should be a draw. You mean knight h5, it should be a draw. So unless white's intention after knight f6 is to withdraw the bishop back, that lost him a tempo. So that's why bishop h6, knight e8 was played in the game, not agreeing to a draw. Rook a7. Now to rook a7, the idea of this is that to play this knight d5 move, see e d5 is met by e into d5, and queen d7 is met by nothing. So that's why after knight d5, e into d5, you take bishop into d5, and then this is hanging here. So that's the trick, and that's why here now after rook a7 was played the move rook to a8. Now rook a8, just exchanging this poisonous rook over here. Rook into a8 came, bishop into a8. Bishop to f4 came, b4. And now knight to a2 comes knight to f6. Now knight to f6, idea is to play knight into e4. Bishop to h6 was played, and now knight to h5. Attacking the queen, queen g4. If queen f3, then knight f6, queen g3, then knight h5, queen f3, knight f6. So this is a forced draw, unless white wants to withdraw their bishop back. But queen g4 was played, not forcing the things. And now queen to b5, defending the knight here on h5. And now f3 was played. Why f3? Because now after f3, the queen is supported and the threat is white just wants to play king h1, solidify this position. So now what should you play? Okay. But in the game was played bishop f6, and now after bishop to f6 comes the move. Yes, sir. It comes rook to b1, defending the pawn. But now things start to get uh, complicated because after bishop to d4 check, king to h1 comes the move bishop into b2. good move. Idea is that don't blunder rook into b2 because here is coming the queen f1 mate. That's why after bishop into b2 comes the move bishop to d2. Now bishop to d2 was played knight f6 attacking the queen. Queen to g3 moving back from the attack, and now d5 breaking in the center. Same rook into b2 is queen f1. So bishop into b4 played attacking the rook on f8. Now when you are supposed to move the rook, here comes d into e4. Brilliant move sacrificing the exchange. Nah, it's too much. Good move is better. Okay, good move. And now, nah, too many things are hanging. Let's just do brilliant move. Okay, now bishop into f8 is coming. But who cares of this move, because now comes a blow here from the black side, and here comes queen to f5. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, queen to h5. What a brilliant move. Okay, so here the thing is like after d into e4. Okay, d into e4. So now d into e4 is a abnormal move because you don't sacrifice the exchange regularly. Now what should you white play? White is very shocked because of this blow. Here it can be said a blow. No other thing can be said about it. So no, so white dealt with this by first playing c4, attacking the queen, which was in turn a blunder because here bishop into f8 should have been played. He played c4, but now comes the move queen to f5. Here actually this move is a mistake or even a blunder because bishop into f8, knight h5, queen d6, e into f3, and then after bishop e7, f into g2 check, king to g1, g5, the engine says this position is lost. Okay, this is too complicated. I mean, this is just inaccuracy, I can say, for human level. Now bishop e7, f into g2 check, king g1. This position literally is so complicated. After like h6 or g5, you have very much chances. If it was black's move, black could have played knight to f4. So there are so much chances in this position for black. That's why this position's evaluation is like 0 point plus 0.1 or 2. So now here, that's the point. That's just the point. You nailed it. So that's why you can't play bishop into f8, d into e4. Let's just make it a mistake. Okay, that's fair enough. Now c4 comes queen to f5. Now bishop into f8, simple move. And now comes knight h5. Actually bishop into f8 was blunder. f4 should have been played, and then black is slightly better, but bishop into f8 comes the move knight to h5, queen to g4, and now instead of taking on f8, which everyone would do, Sutovsky here played an epic move e into f3. Good move. And now point of this move is that, well, there's a simple point, that brilliant move. Uh, f into g2 is hanging, but also queen into b1 is coming. So queen into f5 is the only move here. And now instead of playing e into f5 comes f into g2 check. Good move. King to g1, and now instead of playing g into f5 comes bishop to d4 check. Good move. Queen to f2, and now instead of taking and playing an endgame rook down comes the amazing move knight to f4 double x. And now white just resigned. There's no way here to uh, like save this game. Yeah, white resigned in this position. Can you believe it? White is 11 points up. Still white resigned. Black sacrificed so much. Okay, but why did white resign? What is the variation proof of it? Okay, if queen into d4, then knight h3, beautiful mate is coming. Now, here actually the only move it might be to play h4, and now after h4, here is to play check, take. Now, not even takes here. Not a check actually after h4. This is a completely bad move. Takes. You should here play knight to e2 check, king to h2, bishop into f2. Now g1 is equal to queen is coming, bishop to d6, g1 is equal to queen check, rook into g1, bishop into g1, check, king h3, and then bishop to d4, in which black is uh, significantly better due to his two pawn advantage. And white black will win this game, so that's why on the spot here Gormally resigned. An amazing game by Emil Sutovsky. It all started with these complications arising after bishop h6. It was just crazy after here, especially after this knight f6, knight h5. And then there was this bishop into b2 tactic, then d into e4 mistake, and now this uh, sequence of amazing moves, e into f3, f into g2, bishop to d4 check, and then knight to f4 was just astonishing. Amazing. Okay, right. Now the game was lost. Amazing game by Emil Sutovsky. I hope you like this video and don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you.